Walk wrong! Find 9 plus.
Everyone thought that he was a weak village boy, but he turns out to be the reincarnation of the strongest dragon, who was unfairly killed by humans many years ago. Even though he had helped humans fight against various demonic beasts in the past, humankind's hatred for dragons was so strong that they sent a group of incredibly strong adventurers who managed to enter the ancient dragon's lair and trap it completely. The hero of their party delivered the killing blow, and the legendary dragon wondered why would these humans want to kill him, even though he has never done anything to harm them. However, he had lived long enough and thought that dying now would be better than living on, but his time was not done in this world as he gets reborn as a boy in a family of farmers in a small village. His parents name him Dolan, and he grows up to be a pretty capable young man who tries to forget that he was a dragon in his past life. Kids are considered to be fully grown at the age of 15 in this world, which would have been a lifesaver for Epstein, but for Dolan it means to live on his own. One morning, Dolan meets up with his ugly-ass brother, and they go over to the nearby river to fish. His brother asks Dolan whether he is really going to the swamp tomorrow, as it turns out that some mysterious things have been happening near that area, but the captain of the village guard is busy playing Red Dead 2 and doesn't want to investigate. After catching a buttload of fish, he returns back to the village where he meets up with a hottie named Mal and a blonde idiot named Albert. They are impressed by the amount of fish he managed to catch, while Dolan thanks Mal for helping him train to take on any monsters in the swamp. Dolan then walks back to his house where he salts the fish and hangs it for drying, and a little while later, a red-haired lowly calls him for his daily magic training. He walks over to his teacher's house and uses an incredibly powerful magic spell, which impresses the old hag, who claims that his offensive magic is one of the best that she has ever seen. Later that evening, while he is returning to his home, he ends up running into a white bitch who looks like a rich noble man from 1800s. The old chief of the village introduces the girl as Christina, who is a noble lady and will be staying in the village for some time. Dolan simply shakes hands with Chris and immediately realizes that she is incredibly skilled. He wonders what she is doing here, but he doesn't have enough time as the sun is setting, so he hurries towards his parents' house to share some food he collected with them. He is warmly greeted by his family, and his mom cooks a bomb dinner for them as usual. After dinner, his dad tells him that he should get married quickly so that his hands can get some rest at night at least, but Dolan says that he wants to hoe out a little more in his single days before settling. The next morning, he leaves for the swamp, but finds out that half the village is there to say goodbye. After traveling for several hours through the lush forests filled with monsters and wild animals, he finally reaches the swamp, which has turned green in color and smells like my dad's socks, though I have never seen my dad or his socks. He analyzes the dirty water and realizes that the elemental energy of this place is unbalanced, and that's why no one can survive here. Before he could do anything about it though, he hears the rustling of some leaves and turns around immediately. He knows that only a very strong monster can survive these conditions, so he grabs his sword and gets ready for a fight. But the monster reveals itself to be an incredibly beautiful half-snake blonde bimbo. Dolan doesn't know what is happening, as she is an incredibly rare monster who should not be even in this region, and on top of that, the snake girl starts behaving like a stripper, having a seizure which only confuses him. She tells him that she is not here to fight, but before she could elaborate, a giant monster emerges from behind her and tries to crush her beneath his paws. She screams for help, and thankfully, Dolan comes in clutch as he slashes the beast's legs off before grabbing the blonde hoe and running away. The monster seems to be made out of muck as he easily regenerates its leg, while Dolan and the girl hide behind a giant shroom, which would have made Mike Tyson very happy. The thought immediately starts asking questions, but Dolan tells her to shut her dumb up as he needs to come up with a plan. A little while later, the monster moves away, which gives them a little room to breathe, but the snake girl immediately asks what the hell was that monster doing here. Dolan replies that the monster is an earth elemental which seems to have gotten cray-cray. He explains that this area used to be controlled by the lizard people, who sometimes used to do business with the villagers, but lately, they have disappeared completely, possibly because of this monster. He then turns towards the thought and asks what her name is. The girl replies that her name is Cell and she is from the breed of monsters known as the Lamias. Dolan has heard of these labias or whatevers as they are famously beautiful and are known for their impressive magical skills. He asks whether she would like to fight together, but she is not very confident in herself, claiming that her magic is not the strongest and she might embarrass herself. He tells her not to worry because he is going to carry, and she can simply provide backup. Cell agrees, claiming that she will try her best to provide support, but she isn't very confident about whether she can trust a human that she just met. Dolan gives her a signal, and they both go on the offensive, coming out of their hiding places and attacking the monster. The giant beast immediately attacks.
Extra 10% plus off 180-day lowest prices.
Ever wanted to run Unreal Engine on your tablet, phone, or laptop? Pixel Streaming makes this possible, allowing you to use powerful 3D apps right in your browser without needing expensive hardware. In this video, we'll explain what Pixel Streaming is, how it works, and how you can set it up. We'll also cover its benefits, limitations, and the best solutions for using it effectively. Plus, we'll show you real examples of how it's used. Whether you're into gaming, development, or just love tech, keep watching to see how Pixel Streaming can transform your Unreal Engine projects. What is Pixel Streaming and how it works? Pixel Streaming is a technology that enables running high-end, graphically intensive applications like those built with Unreal Engine directly in your web browser, without the need for powerful local hardware. But how does it work?
Them as well, and shoots mud pellets at Cell. But thankfully, Dolan comes to the rescue yet again and slashes them off effortlessly. Meanwhile, Cell takes advantage of this situation and chants a very powerful spell which creates a red magic circle out of which a giant snake emerges and starts choking the earth elemental. Cell starts having trouble maintaining the spell, but this was enough of a distraction for Dolan to quickly gain ground on the monster. The monster destroys the snake spell and attacks Dolan, but he manages to dodge it before jumping on top of the mud demon, slashing it cleanly into 2 pieces. Cell is relieved to see that they have won, but the monster ends up dropping all over her, getting her dirty. Dolan immediately rushes over to her, checking whether she was hurt, and then thanks her for helping her take down the elemental beast quickly. He claims that she must be cold and dirty and should get clean, so by the time night falls, they manage to find a small shack. Dolan cooks dinner, and Cell, with her massive plots, asks if he is not scared of her at all, and he replies that she is not like the other Lamias that he has encountered, who were much more aggressive and wary of humans. He asks what was she doing so close to the human settlements, and she claims that she has recently turned 17, which means that she is an adult now and needs to leave on a journey to find a husband for herself, because Lamias are all females, which means that they have to find a husband from a different race. She claims that Lamias were created when a human female was cursed for being a TikToker, and because of the curse, their body has poison which not a lot of people can tolerate. That's why it's hard for them to find a man who can survive that. Dolan wasn't even paying attention as he was wondering where he needs to put it in a snake, but is snapped back to reality when Cell claims that her father is also a human. Dolan decides that he needs to nail this date, so he pours some of the most disgusting soup I've ever seen in my life and offers it to her. She excitedly eats her dinner and loves the soup, and Dolan tells her that his mother told him how to make it, and they eat it together every winter. Thinking about his family reminds him of the time he was the legendary dragon, always lonely in his own cave, but now things are better, and he has people who he trusts. The next morning, they both get dressed up as Dolan decides that he won't act like a desperate incel and play hard to get. He tells Cell that he would be heading back to his village now, while Cell replies that she will continue her journey south to keep looking for her husband. Dolan smiles and wonders whether their paths are bound to cross again during their journey, but decides to leave for now as his adventures are just starting. The next day, Dolan and the redhead Loli learn how to cook like Walter White and Jesse Pinkman from the Old Hag. She tells them that unlike normal medicine, magical medicine needs to be prepared with much more care, because just a tiny bit of imbalance in the ingredients can be life-threatening. The Loli seems to be a pro as she gets the recipe right in the first try, but Dolan fumbles and ends up giving himself blue balls. The Old Hag tells him that he needs to have better control over his fingers, otherwise he won't be able to keep his girlfriend happy, and he apologizes. The lowly Aerie tells him that it is not the case and he can keep any girl happy because she is sure that he has a cannon between his legs, and the old hag realizes what's going on. Later, Dolan gets invited over for lunch by Aerie's family, and as they pray to the goddess Myrael, he thinks about how he has not seen her since a very long time. After lunch, he runs to the French idiot Albert, who is training some kids to become future knights. They stop training as soon as they see Dolan and rush to show their progress, but he is not interested. He tells them to take a break instead, and then suddenly, he senses the presence of a monster coming from the forest. Dolan doesn't say anything about it to anyone, and enters the forest alone at night to find that it was actually Cell whose presence he felt earlier, and right now, she is in the middle of a hot sponge bath. She freaks out on seeing the pervert Dolan staring at her without any hesitation, and falls back. Dolan quickly catches her and Cell covers her plot as she tells the pervert to stop watching her, but he asks why. Like a total Chad, Dolan says that all living beings are attracted to beauty, so there should be no shame in watching her. That earns him a tight slap, and even after covering up, Cell is upset at him. Dolan still doesn't understand what he did wrong, but he changes the topic and asks Cell what is she doing here. She sadly says that all the men she met on her journey were sissies who were afraid of her, so she came back to find Dolan so that he could help her. Dolan thinks that he lucked out to have this thought back, and says that he had been wishing to see her again. He suddenly realizes a way to get her to stay longer, and then asks what does she think about staying with him in their village. Cell thinks it is impossible because people will be afraid of a monster like her, but Dolan explains that they already have demi-humans and beastfolk living with them, so she would be eventually accepted. As for her being a Lamia, Dolan believes that people would be afraid at first, but her gentle personality and enormous plot would win them over in no time.
Look how shocked my friend is by my results in Olymp-Matix.
How did you do that? Dude,
Cell is overjoyed at the idea that she can be friends with humans, and gladly accepts to live with Dolan. He tells her that living with him will have some good perks for her, and she can have his life energy anytime she wants because that is like crack for Lamias. He stretches his hand towards her and Cell nervously takes it. Dolan sends some of his life energy into her body, and Cell feels a river flowing between her legs. After she is satisfied and smiling, Dolan tells her his plan. A few days later, Cell begins leaving delicious boars and fishes outside the village as a gift for villagers. The roided-up knight captain and his troops are confused. The captain knows that Lamia are powerful and dangerous monsters, and he doesn't understand why would one leave her prey here. He decides to inform the village elders about it. Everyone doubts that the monster who is leaving delicious meat can mean harm to them, but the knight captain says that they can never trust a monster and suggests that they form a unit to kill her. Others agree, but think they should request backup from the capital, but the old hag doesn't agree with them. She tells the knight captain that no matter how much he cares about the village, he should not take rash decisions without considering all things first. Just then, the lowly Aerie comes to the room with a weird pot in her hands, and tells the hag that she did the fortune-telling just as she asked her. The old woman checks the results, and says that the fortune reading says that the appearance of a snake is a good fortune, so they must not harm the Lamia. Dolan was chopping wood outside and listening to everything. He is delighted when he hears that the old witch has convinced everyone to give the Lamia a chance, and in the evening, he runs to the forest to share the good news with Cell. He tells her that there is no immediate threat to her, and now they are ready to move to the final phase of their plan. The next morning, all the capable fighters of the village and the knights gather for a joint training. Captain Balin tells them about the monster called Lamia and says that they need to stay on guard against her. However, all the important people in the village are here, and that is just what Dolan needs for the last part of his plan. Balin and Mal aside, the most important person for his plan is the priestess, who is greatly valued in the village because she can use healing and purification magic. She represents the church and has the power to declare Cell good or evil. Dolan wishes that everything goes well and the priestess doesn't judge Cell as evil. He looks towards the forest where Cell is trembling with fear and anticipation. Last night, Dolan told her his plan, which included him jumping into the den of low-level monsters and Cell saving him from them. She is not sure about it now and wonders when is she supposed to take action. Dolan is also waiting for that moment patiently when a soldier comes running from the forest and tells the captain that he found the monster. However, the monster the frantic soldier is talking about is an angry giant armored bear whose sight makes all the knights crap their pants. Captain Balin tells everyone to slowly head back because fighting the armored bear is trying to headbutt a moving truck. The kids start running, but the redhead boy falls to the ground, and the bear starts approaching him. Dolan rushes to save the boy, thinking that the only way to stop the armored bear is using his dragon powers. However, just as he is about to reach the boy, Cell leaps out from the bushes too, and shields both of them with her body, suffering a severe injury from the bear's claw in the process. Everyone is dumbfounded to see this, and then Cell turns towards the bear, using her innate hypnotic powers to send it back to the forest. Dolan asks Cell if she is fine, but she asks him if he is blind and can't see the blood gushing out from her wounds. Just then, the Knight Captain slams his weapon on the ground and tells Cell to get away from the villagers. Balin asks him to come too, but Dolan asks him not to hurt Cell because she saved his life and he was not taught to repay kindness with cruelty. Balin decides